Let's see. Okay, hold on. It says that I'm live. Okay, I think we're live. I think we're live on both. Live on Twitch. I show we are live on YouTube. Okay, let's see how this goes. Hey! How's it going? Hey, Roman. Howdy doody. All right. Let me get the game up and running. Can you guys hear me okay? You know, I should actually put some headphones in, otherwise we're going to get some echo when I start playing the game. Sorry, I'm like not prepared. It's been so long since I streamed. I'm in a whole different room. This is not the room that you guys are used to seeing. We moved where my desk and stuff was. Hey, Ballistic Turtle, how's it going? So I gotta do some quick stuff. Make sure that we're good. I'm not hearing that. Wait. Try that again. Please work. Sound. I mean, you can hear that beep. That's just like the generic beep, but it should be coming through the headphones, and it's not coming through the headphones. Hold on. Realtek Audio Console. Are you hearing when I'm plugging you in, friend? There we go. Okay. Okay. I think audio-wise we're good. We'll check in a second. Let me open up the game. How's everybody doing? So excited. Marcel, a new room unlocked. Yeah. Who's Clues? Welcome. I assume, wait, who's Clues? Is that? Also, how do I make you full screen? Preferences, I assume. Hey, Alex, how's it going? I assume. Who's Clues? That's Abigail. Is that you? Welcome, Abigail. So Abigail is the creator of the game. I assume there's sound. Yeah, there's sound. Okay, hold on. What am I doing here? What are we doing here, Nate? Let's go to live. Oh my God, none of my stuff is set up properly. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Camera. We're going here. Sick. Full game. We're gonna need to capture the specific window. Please. Boom. Boom. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Hopefully this top right section works. And then let me know if there's sound and we're not hearing sound. Okay. Karina, you're also on Twitch. You are all over the place today. Okay, so the game. We're gonna. Can I pause? Can you guys hear? Sound is working. Is it too loud? It feels loud to me. Should I turn down the sound a bit? Preferences. Let's turn down the sound just a bit here. Oh, there's voice. Oh my God. Dude, Abigail, you went like all out. This is crazy. All right. So, I've never seen this game before. This is a friend of mine and Laura's. Laura met through dance. So Laura was taking dance for a little while. They become really good friends. They do like game nights. They were supposed to do one last Sunday. I think now it moved to next Sunday, but Laura wasn't feeling well on Sunday. They do a ton of like Nancy Drew adventures. We've done like escape rooms with Abigail. We've done murder dinners. And Abigail is also a writer. And so did all of the writing and I think also some of like the programming and stuff for this. So really excited because like, anyway, I love these type of games. I don't play them that much, to be honest, but I do like them. I'm gonna try not to like oversell, but I think it is like visual novel with some like choice and consequence, but we'll see. Like, I don't want to like think it's one thing and it's not, but that's my understanding, is it's kind of like in that space. I'm gonna make myself a little bit smaller here, if that's okay. Let's get started. All right, I'm gonna be doing a lot of reading, I think, probably. Visual novel, murder mystery, fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna do some reading. This is like, it's funny because like, you guys know me. If you've been been a lot to my streams, you know me. I am like super lore averse. Like, lore and I have a very complicated relationship. This is 100% lore. This is all lore. So we're gonna try something a little different, but it should be a good time. Okay, let's get started. Lady Diana Strawberry. It was Helena's letter that first drew me back to the Chateau de Rouge. That's not how you spell Rogue. Rouge. Rogue and Rouge, very similar. It's not a Rouge light. I guess it's probably more like a Rouge light than a Rogue light. Chateau de Rouge. Laura and Nate will have an interesting time. This is very true. In the recesses of my mind, the chateau had always been a place of joy, so I was hardly prepared for the cold, gloomy, impersonal piece of architecture that greeted me. Thank you, Karina. I will try to believe in myself as we go through. I really like the character art though. It's really good. Wait, is this is a real image, right? In the background? This letter looks real. It's just like, this is like real picture. Anyway, in my mind, Chateau de Rouge was still a large, mysterious mansion with fantastic hiding spots, a cook who produced the best fudge I have ever tasted, and grounds that were perfect for flying kites. Yet when I returned, I was struck with the differences. The house had not fallen into disrepair, quite the contrary. There wasn't a stone out of place or a rotted beam anywhere. Thank you, Marcelo. I will do my best. The problem was something else entirely. There just wasn't any life there anymore. I am ashamed to say that I hadn't spent much time there in the last several years, so of course, some things had changed. Olin, welcome. Yes. How's it going? But it wasn't anything that had to do with the house, really. The house looked pretty much the same. But the cook was long gone, and with her, her wonderful fudge recipe. And I realized that I was far too big to fit into any of my old hide-and-seek spots. The hill on which I once flew kites wasn't quite so sunny. In fact, the countryside around the chateau was experiencing a stormy spring. Okay, we're gonna do some Nate lore detour here. This whole experience that she's describing of like the sad nostalgia. You guys know this, right? I'm doing well, Olin, thank you. So you guys know it's sad nostalgia. There's like cool nostalgia. Like cool nostalgia is like when I played Super Metroid and like beat the game in like under 3 hours on stream. Like that was cool nostalgia. That was like, oh man, I feel young again. Then there's like the sad nostalgia. So again, long-time viewers know my background. Grew up in Utah, grew up Mormon, and like all the way up through until Lara and I were married and we lived in Europe. Still part of the church. And when I was at university, there was a period of my life where I was like, hey, Quietest Ghost, welcome. There was a period of my life where I was like hyper church, right? Like I was in the college church leadership group. I was like, anyway, super into that. Lara and I, we got married. We lived across the street from the campus. Like all of these memories of like my time in that period of my life were, for the most part, like pretty good. So then we moved to Germany, go through a kind of faith crisis, leave the church, and then I went back. You know, I'd go back to Utah, but often I would just go and visit like my parents. But I decided to like take a detour and went back into like where I went to university, and like I got floored by like emotions walking into the buildings and like going past my old house. And it was like that sound nostalgia. It was like, okay, like this is a time that will never be again. I will never feel this way again. So like can totally relate to this experience of like you go back to a place that had all these memories and realize that like it could never be that way again. So anyway, contrary to popular belief, I have empathy. Okay. Countryside spring around Chateau was experiencing a stormy spring. There was hardly a day that I was there that wasn't plagued with a thunderstorm. Alternate reality. So maybe that colored my judgment. Or perhaps I had been the one who had changed. Yet it wasn't until I spoke with my dear cousin Helena that I realized what was off. It was Uncle Monty. He was gone, and he had taken with him all the joy from the house. Man takes a break from streaming and regains feelings. True that. I had loved my uncle like a father, and his only daughter, Helena, like a sister. Although I had passed around from relative to relative my entire childhood, no place had ever felt like home, and no relative had ever felt like family, except for the Montagues. And now that Uncle Monty was dead, Helena was in mourning. I was heartbroken. Well, the chateau no longer felt like home. Instead, it felt like the shell of a dead thing, lifeless, broken, empty. I felt somewhat similar. So when Helena's letter reached me asking me to come spend a few days with her in the countryside at the chateau, I didn't hesitate. I hoped that by being back in the old house, some of the old good feelings would come back to me. Unfortunately, they didn't. Holy shit, like I said, it's basically like, this was like my experience. I remember like walking through the church presence, like the building, and like genuinely it like hit me like a wave of like remembering how it felt, the smells, like this, like the sensations were all there, and just this like, again, like this will never be this way again. So it's hitting a little different. Hitting a little different. Interesting. I'm not gonna get super emotional. I'll bury it deep, as I am wont to do. Helena had told me she'd be inviting one or two other friends as well. However, she asked me to come a few days earlier if I could. As I had no pressing matters to attend to, I gladly obliged. When I arrived, Helena was a wreck. I had never seen her so upset. Her father and I were pretty much her only family, so it was understandable. Quite a scope. She had a Mormon friend from Utah, and he's going through it with all of the shootings. Oh yeah, that's also been tough. Hey, Lara, welcome. Fan favorite. I think we'll see. She's been kind of sick, so I don't know if she's comfortable being on camera, but welcome everybody. Okay, her father and I are pretty much her only family, so it's understandable. The weather didn't help the situation either. Often we couldn't go about on the town because of the frequent rain and thunderstorms. It gave the entire house a gloomy feeling. Despite the gloom, I tried to reassure her that I would be there for her and asked her if she required anything, but she simply shook her head and said that she had everything she could possibly want, except for her father. She was right, of course. She was a Montague. Her father had been fabulously wealthy, and it stood to reason that she would not only inherit the beautiful mansion, but that she would also receive all of her father's wealth. Of course, it was famously known throughout the village and by anyone who knew Uncle Monty that he did not believe in banks. He did, however, believe in himself and his daughter, so he kept the entirety of his fortune in the chateau itself. I didn't know specifically where Uncle Monty kept his billions, but I trusted that Helena would continue to want for nothing. Shortly after my arrival, another one of Helena's guests turned up. His name was Sir Grayson Dorian, and I had a vague inclination that Helena had mentioned him once or twice in her letters to me. Ooh, dude. Okay, this guy, I don't have a good read on him visually yet. I'm trying to think what kind of vibe I'm getting. Yeah, Dorian Gray. What is the vibe I'm getting from this? It's like kind of like, I almost want to say like kind of vampire-esque, except the skin tone is obviously not vampire-esque. It's too much color in the skin to be a vampire. But I get like this hint, I think mostly because of the mix of the long hair and the coat and like the type of dress shirt that he's wearing gives me that vibe. But I don't think that he's a vampire. I don't think this is a vampire mystery. I think this is a different sort of mystery. But let's see. For some reason, though, I got the impression that I'd heard his name before outside of Helena's letters, but I'm not sure from where. He had very dark hair and a swarthy bearing. Okay, can someone define swarthy for me? What is swarthy? From context clues, I'm going to guess swarthy is like similar to aristocratic. Dark-skinned? Okay, I'm way off. Swarthy is dark-skinned? He had dark hair and a swarthy bearing. Okay. That was not, from context, I would have never guessed dark-skinned. Of a dark complexion or cast. Okay. Okay. Apparently, Helena had met him years ago on a trip to France and had maintained a close friendship with him through correspondence. Yeah, I was way off. When her father passed, she thought of the two closest people in her life, myself and this Grayson, and had asked us both to come and spend some time with her while she was grieving. To be honest, I was a little surprised that Sir Grayson actually came. Although I knew of him vaguely, Helena had always been something of a loner. She never had many friends because people found her dull. Oh, that sucks. Yet she had always been a true friend to me, even though the bond of cousinhood tied us together, and apparently she shared a friendly bond of sorts with this Grayson as well. Although how friendly still remained to be seen. That's true, like, there's a huge range. This could be like, you know, secret lovers. This could be like friends with benefit situation. This could be a friends without benefit situation. He could be gay. Who knows? How friendly remains to be seen. This Sir Dorian Gray, or so, whoops, this Sir Grayson wow. Dorian, hey, wow, is right. Did seem to be something of a charmer. Good evening, Lady Strawberry. How delightful to finally make your acquaintance. You are as lovely as I had imagined, and as delightful and elegant as Helena described. He took a sweeping bow, and his lips brushed my hand in a polite kiss. Despite his charm and the kiss on the hand, I could tell it was all a facade. He was putting on the charm, and there was no intrigue or true interest behind it. Okay, so I think the vibes are kind of like, like it's clear the guy has this kind of like arrogance about him. So the question is, if the cousin and him are close, is it like that she accepts the facade for what it is? Or is she kind of clueless? Or maybe the cousin is like vibing with this kind of like false, you know, false airs and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see. I wasn't sure what to think of him. Should I? Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa. We have choices already. I feel like judging would be the instinctual thing. Like if you can tell someone is like putting on a facade, I feel like that's going to be hard to not judge him. I feel like we should judge him. I feel like that's the natural response. Also, okay, hold on. We're gonna do some like we're gonna avoid metagaming, meaning like picking the choice we think is the correct choice. We're gonna try to see what's true to this character. So let's talk about what we know about our character. she's either an orphan or something, because she's been passed around from person to person to person to person, which means to me traumatic childhood. Clearly has trouble keeping and making relationships apart from literally this one uncle and her cousin. Based on that, she probably has like my guess would be a kind of avoidant attachment style, borderline fearful avoidant attachment style. I think this is a person that is going to naturally mistrust, and then she's at a time of grieving, so the trauma might be even more fresh. I think there's no world where she gives this guy the benefit of the doubt, and based on that and that alone, we're going to go with choose to judge him. Hi.
Hey.
Did you hear my deep cut?
Yeah, I was like, are you talking about me? I love you.
Love you too. How are you?
Good. My throat hurts really bad. So
You look cute.
Thank you.
You got Crocs on in the house?
Yes.
Are those house Crocs?
They are house Crocs.
I didn't think house Crocs were a thing.
They are for me. I don't like to feel the crumbs on the floor.
That's what socks are for.
No.
Okay. Got Lara rocking the house Crocs. So yeah, based on that, I'm gonna go ahead and say she is not one to jump into immediate trust style behavior. He was all show, which from my previous interaction with Frenchmen did not surprise me much. I wonder briefly what Helena saw. We asked the same thing. I said the same thing. What is it that Helena sees in him if he is a kind of false person? A pompous, showy man who clearly thought that he was God's gift to women. For a brief moment, I wondered why he was here. Of course, Helena had invited him, but there seemed to be more to it. Was he after her money? Why was he even in England to begin with? He showed up surprisingly quick. Whatever I thought of him didn't matter. He was here, and our goal was to comfort Helena. But the poor dear was so distraught that nothing we could say or do could distract her from the loss of her father, and to be honest, I couldn't blame her. I was trying hard not to burst into tears myself. Which also would add to like the general discomfort of having a stranger in your presence, right? Like, it's one thing to like mourn when everybody around you is like somewhat like familiar. I think it would be really challenging to have that same experience or want to be able to like go through the emotional processing with a rando who is acting very false from your perspective in your space. We were all comforted, however, by the presence of Helena's maid, Charlotta. She regularly brought us tea, served our meals, and overall kept us in reasonably good spirits. She even provided us with candles and holders when the electricity was knocked out one evening because of the storm. Okay, so vibe on Charlotta. I mean, this could go all over the place. Is this a person that like has a kind of resentment towards her role in society? Is this somebody that felt like her employer was a good person, and by association, her employer's daughter and cousin once removed are like family? These are questions. Because, like, you know, it could, like, you know, class is a real thing, and class division is a real thing, and people, especially depending on what time period this takes place, which looks like it's something like not present, slightly in the past, that can have a huge influence on her relationship with our main character, Diana, and Helena, but seemingly is being pretty empathetic, or at least like fulfilling her duties in a pleasant and empathetic way. I took note of her efficiency and applauded it. As much as I missed the old cook's fudge, I had to admit that Charlotta's shortbread cookies hit the spot. I even saw Helena crack a smile at one point, and that made all her efforts worth it. I wasn't sure what to think of this maid, however. I mean, we're just mind gaming this game too much. Like 2 steps ahead. No, I'm kidding. As she served us our midday meal, I observed her silently. Okay, prep yourself. We're gonna get some like observations here. I wanted to know more about her because Helena had never mentioned the change of staff in any of her letters, so I was curious as to how she became a part of the Montague household. But I had never seen Charlotta before, so I was afraid that too many detailed questions about her employment and past might be seen as impertinent. I finally decided that I should. Okay, so now we get, again, we gotta try to get in the head of Diana and decide what's the right kind of approach here. So one, we can talk to her just in general, or two, talk to her in like a complimentary way, but don't try to get to know her too much. So again, mind gaming. How do we think that our person is likely to behave? We're in a traumatic situation. We're with a stranger and someone that we care about. There's a maid we don't know about and possibly suspicious of because we don't know how this whole like transition into her being part of the staff or family worked. The question is speak to her more like interrogate her, or is this kind of commentary and hoping for feedback the right approach? This is a tough one. I could go either way on this one. I could totally buy the we're going to interrogate this woman and try to like understand out of like skepticism. It's kind of like Blood on the Clock Tower, but it gives you choices. We could interrogate this woman, and I feel like that could be on brand of like, hey, I'm in this like really complicated situation. There's a person I'm unfamiliar with. I'm hesitant to interrogate this rando dude here because of this like relationship he has with my cousin. I don't want to get in the middle of it, even though I distrust him. There's also like, I'm just gonna like make a passing positive comment and see how she reacts. That's kind of how I'm taking this. Have I tried Mega Bonk? No, I have not tried Mega Bonk. There is a less than 0% chance that I would stream Mega Bonk sometime in the near future. We will see. Speaking of Blood on the Clock Tower, have you heard of Dropout? Yes, I have heard of Dropout. I watch a lot of what's it called? Their stuff. I didn't say so I say less than 0. There's a greater than 0 chance. Sorry, there's a greater than 0 chance. That's what I meant to say in the future. Yeah, Game Changer. Mostly Game Changer is what I've seen. Yeah, sorry, there's a greater than 0 chance that I will try to play it on stream in the future. I misspoke.
Yeah, you did. I love you.
Thank you, Peanut Gallery. I love you.
That's what I'm here for.
Peace out.
Me too.
Okay, going back to, so yeah, Mega Bonk, probably in the future. Probably in the near future, if I can like muster up the, you know. Anyway, we'll see. Okay. What are we gonna do here? I think I'm gonna go for the interrogation. This seems like the most reasonable kind of direction that that she would take. Let's see what this says. Since most people enjoy speaking about themselves, I decided to take the chance and ask Charlotta a little bit about herself. Charlotta, tell me, do you live nearby before coming to work at Chateau de Rouge? Yes, Mom, my family lives in the village below the chateau. How lovely. So you were born and raised here? Why, yes, we've always lived here, and I love the English moors and the countryside estates. From a young age, I dreamed of living in one of these beautiful mansions. Okay. We're starting to get some, like, hints of class. You know, young girl growing up in the small village to relatively poor family, dreams of a mansion. I never dreamed that I'd get the chance. Is that why you chose to work here? Yes, Mom. Charlotta hesitated a moment, and I wondered what was wrong. She looked down as if suddenly sad. I wondered if I had said something wrong, or if perhaps she was afraid to talk much about her family and upbringing in front of her employer, Helena. I decided that it would be in my best interest to let it drop. The last thing I wanted to do was to embarrass Charlotta or get her into some sort of trouble with my cousin. That night, the rain came again, harder than it had on any of the previous days. I should have known that it was a harbinger of danger, and perhaps in a way I did. All I know for sure is that the rain was so hard that it swelled the river around the mansion, causing it to rise. This happened a few times in the past, and each time had caused flooding of major proportions around the mansion grounds, often forcing those on the property to be housebound, unable to leave the chateau for days. I've never been the kind of woman to quake at the sound of thunder, but there was something different about this storm. It felt like this was more than an act of nature, but somehow an act of God, sent to uncover things that needed to be revealed, or expose the deeds of the guilty. As I stood at the window, contemplating these thoughts, brutally to myself, I thought I had heard a noise through the sound of the howling wind. It was a rapping, thudding noise, and at first I wasn't sure where it was coming from. Then I thought that perhaps it was someone knocking at the large front door. I was instantly wary because we were so far from town. How could anyone have reached the chateau in this weather? I knew that by now the river would have swollen so high that it would be impassable to anyone from the outside. The only people who could reach us at this moment, would be someone who was already on chateau property. And that concerned me. I was then faced with a choice. Okay, should I face my fears and check the door to see if someone's standing out there in the rain seeking shelter? Should I run away fearfully, ignoring the thundering noise that might or might not be a terrifying intruder at the door? I feel like there is almost no world where we run and hide. Just like from appropriateness. What am I trying to say? Rules of engagement would be you always answer the door. Like, I feel like that's like always what happens. That's the proper, polite, appropriate thing to do. So let's see what happens. And hopefully don't die. Regardless of my fears, I didn't want to risk leaving any poor soul out on a night like this one. Even if there was someone out there who had been lurking on Montague property in the dark of night, it didn't matter. I wasn't about to let someone weather a storm of this proportion. With hurried steps, I walked to the door. By the time I got there, Charlotta had arrived too, having heard the knock from the kitchen. Okay, so like Charlotta would have had it, but like, I think we gotta demonstrate appropriate behavior. Is there someone at the door, Mom? Yes, I believe there is. Poor soul out on a night like this one. With that, I quickly opened the door. With a rush of wind and a swirl of raindrops, the door swung open with a loud bang. A caped and hooded figure stumbled into the hall as if driven forward by the anger of the storm. We got Professor Trelawney in the house. She's going to tell us that we are the chosen one meant to defeat the Dark Lord. Charlotta sprung forward in action, taking the cape from the figure. Here you go, madame. Let me take that from you. The woman shook rain droplets out of her curls as she stood there, unfurled from her drenched cape. She was beautiful with a dark, mysterious beauty. One could sense immediately that gypsy blood ran through her veins. She seemed to know Charlotta already, which I found intriguing. It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy, guys. The fortune teller and the maid, they're about to start a class war in the presence of me and this large mansion. But she turned to me almost immediately with a glint in her eye. I am Madame Esme. You must be, She paused for a moment and squinted at me through the small spectacles that were perched on her nose. You must be Helena's cousin, Lady Diana Strawberry, the orphan. Yeah, okay, so we are an orphan. That's what I thought. I squirmed a little. Of course, I was not ashamed of my upbringing, but to have a stranger announce to me oh my god, the music is like pulling no punches here. Announced to me my title, name, and history as an orphan. I wasn't quite sure how to react. You probably are thinking that Helena must have told me those things, but she hasn't, you see. I am the great Madame Esme, fortune teller extraordinaire. I am a reader of cards, palms, and most of all, fortunes. I can simply look at a person and see the most intimate information about them. And of course, my crystal ball will also tell me what I want to know. Oh. Well then, you have foreseen correctly. I am Helen? Helena's cousin. I think this is a minor typo. I take it you are a friend of hers. Yes, Helena and I are well acquainted. She often asks to have her fortune told, or for my help in small matters. Were you looking for her? Who, Helena? Why no, I was merely in the area, scouting the woods for herbs for my rituals. I had found a rich source of wolfsbane when it began to rain. I started to push my cart back to our caravan, but the river had already risen so high that I couldn't make it. I knew, of course, that the nearest shelter was the chateau, and here I am. I noticed Charlotta looking sidelong at Esme. I suppose, madame, that your caravan is camped quite near the chateau right now. You would be sensitive to Helena misspellings. Esme seemed quite unconcerned about the note of suspicion in Charlotta's voice, even though it was still disguised by Charlotta's natural demure tone of respect. Oh yes, we're camped quite close by. The woods hereabouts are quite rich with all the herbs that I need for my business, so I made myself busy today collecting them. Surely, madame, your crystal ball must have told you that a great storm would come upon you. Or did it not tell you that in time? Oh! Charlotta throwing fire right now at Charlotta. The burns are deep. The cuts are scathing. Should have swapped those around. This is the classic, like, I'm gonna guess the response. This is like the I only know important things, or I only see the things that the, spirits choose to tell me type of answer. Well, of course it told me. I just got, okay, or there's this. Of course it told me. I just got caught up in my task and lost track of time. Alright. I could sense the tension in the air between Charlotta and her thinly veiled accusations, and this Madame Esme and her unexplained presence on what I knew to be the private property of the chateau. I tried to change the subject and asked Charlotta if she wouldn't mind gathering everyone together for a bit of refreshment in the parlor. Even though the tea hour had already passed, I felt that the best way to welcome this new guest to our small house party would be with a hot cup of tea. Drugged with truth serum. No, just a regular cup, I think. Besides, she was still shivering from the cold and the rain, so I figured she could use some warmth. Oh, whoops. Back. We were just about to settle in the comfort of the parlor when suddenly the room went dark. Oh, it's about to go down. I would be lying if I didn't say I was a tiny bit frightened. But since the lights had gone out a few times since I arrived, I chalked it up to the storm and possibly old wiring. What's going to happen in the dark? Do we get a choice? Can we stab one of them silently in the night? I don't think so. But maybe someone will get stabbed silently in the night. Maybe we'll die, and then we'll be a ghost. It'll be like Blood on the Clock Tower, and we'll have to vote for who we think killed us. I think also unlikely. Just as I was thinking that I should mention the wiring to Helena, I heard a crash in the kitchen. Okay, stuff is going down. But I knew Charlotta was in there, so I supposed that the sudden darkness had caught her off guard as well. Remembering that I had left my candle on the side table from the last time when the lights went out, I reached for it in the darkness. I did not find where I had left it. Oh no, someone murdered somebody with the candle. Huh, my candle is gone. Getting to choose who you get to stab is a good idea for the sequel. Esme said nothing. In fact, she had been strangely quiet. I cannot read strangely quiet without thinking of... Okay, we're gonna go Nate lore. So I, once upon a time, in high school, there was sophomore year, you could start auditioning for like the high school musical. And when I was a sophomore, the musical that year this is what made me think of this. It was The Secret Garden, and there's the song Lily's Eyes, which has the term strangely quiet. What is it? I can't remember the full line. Anyway, I just know that term is in it. But I had just come out of 9th grade, and in 9th grade, I was one of the leads in the middle school, because my middle school was 7th, 8th, 9th grade, and then high school was 10th, 11th, 12th grade in Utah, where I grew up. I just come off of being the male lead in The Mikado, which, if you're unfamiliar with The Mikado, it's a play, Rodgers and Hammerstein, where basically it's like the British interpretation of Japan. It's like, did not age particularly well. Anyway, yeah, exact. Thank you, Quietest Ghost. I just come off The Mikado. I hated being in it. I auditioned for it thinking it would be cool to be the lead, but I didn't like the musical even then. I thought it was a little bit weird. I didn't think that funny, but it's like you're supposed to play it as if it's like the most hilarious thing in the world. Miserable experience. So then the next year I go to high school, they're doing the High School Musical, and I got callbacks for a role. And, you know, Secret Garden, it takes place in England, I think, right? Or is it Northeast, or maybe it's the New England? I don't know where it is. Anyway, regardless, they wanted everybody to speak in like either mix of like, you know, early colonial North England or British accents. I think it is British, right? Because it's like about World War I, and then she goes back to Britain. Anyway, it doesn't matter. No, her parents get sick from, spoiler for like the first like chapter of Secret Garden, but I'm pretty sure that her parents die from like, is it like a fever? I think I might be mixing like Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe and Secret Garden. Anyway, doesn't matter. I got this call back for this role, and I was like, Yorkshire. Yeah, that seems right. I think it's Britain. Anyway, I got the call back, and I was like, I really do not want to be a role. Like, I just want to be like in the background singing. Like that would be like ideal for me. And so I took a calculated gamble that if I kind of butchered my callback, because, you know, you got the callback from, you auditioned singing first, and then you do acting for the role. So I was like, hey, if I like suck as an actor, but like my singing was pretty good, maybe I can be like background in the show. And so I kind of intentionally butchered my British accent and did one of those like over the top like British police officer, like, hello, what's all this, like this really just crappy accent. And apparently the choir teacher, who also did the musicals at my high school, she got like pretty offended, I later found out. And so I don't know that I'm the only one, but as a result of me, like her interpreting this as me like making fun of this musical choice that she made, which I don't know how like me doing a bad accent is equated to like this kid is like mocking this musical, because that wasn't what I was doing. I was just trying not to get a role. I was just trying to be in the background. But she took it so hard that I didn't even make like the background, like the chorus or whatever. And again, I don't know this for sure, but literally everybody else that made a callback, even if they didn't get a role, got into like the chorus except for me. And I certainly for that year, I was the only one. I think in her entire time as this like lead over the musicals, I think I may have been the only person ever to have gotten a callback and then not made like background chorus. Anyway, I ended up being in it for the next 2 years. She either forgave me or realized that maybe she was putting a lot more into this one moment than like I had originally intended. But yeah, so like you can remember that Nate did so bad in his callback edition that it was deemed offensive, and I was excluded from the musical as a result. And so I have very mixed feelings about The Secret Garden. By the way, not my favorite musical, although Lily's Eyes is like kind of a banger, and like the, you know, it's a good song is what I'm trying to say. All right, moving on. Esme said nothing. In fact, she had been strangely quiet during the entire blackout, which made me nervous. Finally, I found another candle, one without a holder, and quickly lit it. Hey, Little Scout, thank you for the subscription. As I began to light the rest of the candles, what a point to join the stream. Welcome, Hannah. Hey, you're not Buenos. What's the deal? I feel like something is wrong. I noticed that the one I was holding was white, like all the others around me. While that in itself may not have been odd, it triggered my memory that the candle that I had been carrying around for the last few blackouts was red. Well, welcome. I'm glad you could make my stream today. And I think like, so we're taking so many detours. We're not going to get through any of this story. Detour Détour. That's probably not accurate, the way to say that. Third detour. So like, I have not streamed in a long time. I've not done videos really since Monster Train 2 came out. Which, by the way, if you're wondering, hey, Nate was like on a roll with these Monster Train 2 videos, like what the hell happened? A little bit embarrassed to say, I had like a really bad run, and I was so disheartened by this run that I just didn't want to do anymore. This is like my emotional state of the year. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. Year's been tough. You know, I'll cry a river, right? Or whatever. Year's been tough. I was like at a point where I was emotionally like kind of like Monster Train 2 came out. Hey, I should try to play a lot of this because Monster Train's where I started, did all this stuff, had a bad run, felt really bad, and then like didn't do it again. And I haven't honestly thought even once about streaming until Abigail reached out and was like, hey, would you be willing to do this? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And then since then, Aethermancer is great. I liked it a lot. Anyway, long story short, there's maybe like a potential to start streaming a little bit more. Mega Bonk has me super curious. But anyway, that's not what we're doing right now. We're playing Return. No. Is it Return? Murder at Chateau de Rouge. But like, anyway, I'm kind of in this like, oh no, you're welcome. I want to get back into it. I've talked about this so much on stream, like the anxiety around like what I'm streaming. Like this is cool and chill and I'm having a great time. It's the in between and like that stuff that gets to me. So, you know, there might be more streams in the future. I'm hoping that I can like do it more from like it's super fun than like it's got to be like all these things that I want on YouTube and all this stuff that like gets in my head. Okay, anyway, long diatribe. We're carrying a candle. Candle's white, used to be red. Where do we get this candle? Who knows? Maybe we'll find out. I realized I hadn't seen any other red candles in the house. While I was musing over these things, I noticed that Madame Esme was standing over by the sympathy train. She was silent, observing the storm as it raged outside, rain beating against the glass. She turned to me slowly, and her brow furrowed. Someone in this house is in grave danger. There is evil in this house tonight. Oh my gosh. The plot thickens. Evil like I have never felt before. The storm, it brings with it the anger of restless souls, seeking whom they may devour. We are none of us safe. I shivered at her ominous words. I had never seen anyone in a trance before, but I was almost certain that Esme was in one just then. She didn't look at me. She looked through me as if she could see the very evil that she spoke of in the room at that moment. It only lasted for a minute, though. With a shake of her head and a glance down at the crystal ball she was still carrying, she returned to herself. I suppose the storm knocked out the power. I believe so. I'm going to walk around the house and light some candles. You can join me if you wish. No, I think I'll stay put here for now. There is something about the house that I don't like. The less I see of it, the better. I left her alone, and concerned about Charlotta, hurried on my way to the kitchen. Oh yeah, there was shattering. Before I reached her, I heard a strange noise outside. I peered through the window and I saw a man dressed in a purple cape with riding boots. Oh my gosh, the characters are coming in one after the other. He was crouched in the mud beneath a large oak as if he had tripped or fallen there. I watched silently as he picked himself up with disgust and brushed off the mud as best he could, which wasn't easy in the pouring rain and driving wind. I had never seen him before. He had a mysterious bearing about him which intrigued me. Yet I couldn't account for his presence there. He was clearly trespassing on chateau land, but I felt somewhat sorry for him out in this weather. I found myself faced with a decision. Okay, we're down. Should I catch the stranger's attention and invite him in? Should I leave him standing in the cold and report as trespassing to somebody? I mean, we're going to invite him in. We're already on the like everybody get in here train, so let's not diverge at this point. I didn't have the heart to leave anyone out in the cold like that, so I opened up the window where I had been watching him and called out to him. He seemed startled by my call because he jumped with alarm and looked as if he was trying to decide whether to make a run for it or not. I shouted out to him to ask if he would like to take shelter inside of the chateau. I figured that we had already welcomed one strange trespasser into the mansion. What would one more hurt? That's what I'm saying. We're on this train. Everybody get in here. That's where we're at right now. He nodded to me and then took a few steps back into the mist in the woods that surrounded him. I thought for a second that he was going to make a run for it back into the forest, when suddenly he reappeared running towards me at a high speed. I realized almost too late that he was going to vault through the open window where I stood. Okay. I just started a new D&D group last Saturday, and the first thought that came to me when he's like in a vault is like roll for athletics. I'm gonna guess. I mean, I think the guy's gonna make it. I think he's gonna clear the distance. Which I don't have perspective on this. Is this like, are we talking like just like window at ground level, do you think? Or are we talking like he's like going up and over like a, you know, quite a distance, right? Because oftentimes in like chateaus and stuff like that, you'd have like the steps leading up to, like I'm thinking like, you guys know like Ever After, or like really any of those shows, right? There's always the steps up and then like the entrance. So he could be clearing like 4 or 5 stairs worth, plus like the gap to the window, even if it's like an almost floor level window. Like this could be like a hefty leap. I hastily took a step back and managed to get out of his way. He landed heavily on the marble floor with a thud and a crouching. Dude, cleared it. Speaking of D&D, I'm excited for Critical Role's campaign 4 on Thursday. Laura's pretty hyped about it. She's talking to me about it. I don't know if Laura, if you're still on, but okay, I heard this rumor that Matt Mercer is like not going to do the DM role. I don't think that that's true though. I think he still is, right? Like I'm not wrong about that. I heard that he's he's not a DM. Is it oh hey. So then is the DM the guy yeah, Brendan Lee. That's what I thought. I heard Brendan Lee Mulligan is DM. I didn't know. I mean, that makes sense. Like frickin' Matt has been like going nuts for a while now, so like I get it. Anyway, bro rolled at least like an 18 on his dexterity check, made it through his athletics check, made it through. Oh my gosh, 14. Oh my gosh. West marches. Oh, okay, interesting. He let out a groan of pain, and I ventured forward to help him up, but he denied my assistance. I couldn't help but laugh a little bit, because I certainly hadn't expected him to come through the window. I told him that I would have led him through the front door. Ah, yes, the front door. Yes, that would have made more sense, I suppose. Yes, but like, factor in style points. I mean, bro's already beating out other bro just on style alone. Let me introduce myself. I am Lord Violette. He made a sweeping bow to me and then began to look around the room the best that he could in the dim light. No, I'm not going to do another detour. I thought about it and I'm like, this is too crazy. Dude, that scarf is like, it's something for sure. And this little, like, I think it's just like a brooch putting together or a clasp for his cape. Quite a nice place you've got here. As he looked around the hall, he seemed to notice the darkness for the first time. So, it seems that you are having a bit of an electrical problem. Oh, yes. We think the storm knocked out the power, but it only just happened before I saw you. At that very moment, Sir Grayson Dorian, oh, other bro, Beetlejuiced him right into the scene, came sweeping down the long stairway and spotted us in the hall. He looked inquisitively from me to the strange... Dude, he like... did one of these. Just, excuse me. Let me just stick myself in here. In quick bursts of words, I tried to explain to him about the stranger who was in need of shelter, leaving out the part about how he vaulted through the window. I feel like that would be my first thing. Like, hey, before you get all up in our grill, this guy freaking leapt through a window. So back off, bro. You came in through the door acting like a little wanny, giving me all these like kind of fake facade crap. This guy's a real skater. He like jumped the window. All right, leaving out the part where he vaulted the window, he listened but seemed unsure. Is that so? So what are you doing trespassing on Montague land? Ah, you must be one of the Montague family. Dorian looked at him with suspicion. No, I am Sir Grayson Dorian, a friend of Helena Montague. And you still haven't answered my question. What were you doing on the chateau property? Well, I was out hunting. On foot? In the rain? Like a fool? I know this is not the time or place for it, and the setting isn't appropriate, but also I feel like this is a good place where you could have said, like a little bitch. Out in the rain like a little bitch. Anyway, sorry, that's probably not appropriate for the setting, but I do feel like that's the energy he gave here. Yes, I mean, no. I only moved to the neighborhood. I live in the estate a few miles. Oh, an estate. I guess he is Lord Violette. That makes sense. Or Violet. Language, sir. Yeah, I know how to use it. I can say all the words. I know them. By heart. I was hunting in my own woods when I must have traveled too far. I realized that I was lost and I must have wandered onto somebody else's property. I got down off my... Okay, I did read this wrong. I read, I got down off my high horse. It's like, oh, look at him, mister, coming off his high horse. In order to try and study the terrain and see if I could figure out where I was, and my horse was spooked by a flock of birds that took off from the underbrush. Okay, my horse bolted, leaving me stranded in the woods, not knowing how far I was from home or what direction to turn. I had just made it into the clearing. These are all characters from Clue, all named by colors. Gray, yeah. Violet, yeah. Strawberry? Charlotta, though, isn't one. And Esme isn't one. But you're right, like the three that are here, and Helena Montague isn't one either. Yeah, so stop with your theorizing. You're full of crap, Quietus Ghost. You don't know what you're talking about. I had made it into the clearing when I spotted the house, and I'm afraid to admit that I slipped in the mud and quite twisted my ankle. I'm afraid you have caught me in the most embarrassing position. I mean... Oh, almost. Okay. Also misread. I was like, I can imagine several more embarrassing positions, but almost, that very different context. Almost versus the most, those have very different connotations. This would not have been the most embarrassing position. It is you could say a most embarrassing position is fine. And I'm ashamed of the first meeting should be like this, miss. He turned to me and I held out my hand in greeting. Strawberry, Lady Diana Strawberry. Won't you let me take a look at your injury, Lord Violette? He graciously bowed, as best he could without putting too much weight on his injury. Wait a minute, hold on. So am I to understand that bro twisted his ankle in the mud, and then his thought was, the logical way for me to enter this house is to roll a d20 on athletics and see if I can just outright break my leg? I mean, that's a choice. Personally, if I'm injured, the very first thing I do is not to immediately jump through a window. But you know what? Like, people are cooked differently. All right. I noticed, however, that Dorian was none too pleased. Huh. But at least he didn't try to stop me. I took the strange huntsman to the kitchen. I was hoping that Charlotta would be in there, able to bandage up his leg, because even though I was willing to try, I had zero experience. Let me take a look at your leg. Are you a doctor? No, but I feel like it's the polite thing to say. I can look at it. If it's like bent funny, I can probably tell you it's bent funny. No plan if it is hurting, but I will do my best. To be fair, like I probably have done the same thing before of like, oh, you cut yourself? Here, let me take a look. I've put band-aids on things before. I can probably help. What is that, bone? Yeah, just stick a band-aid on it. Like, that's fine. I'd hoped that perhaps the capable Charlotta would know more than me. But unfortunately, the kitchen was empty and dark. I felt also there's like probably shit on the ground. We heard that there was not like actual shit. There's like probably broken glass and or cutlery and or whatever their dishes is too generic. What are like plates and crap called? Anyway, doesn't matter. There's a word for this, a fancy word for like plates and crap. Anyway, stuff shattered. It's probably on the ground. She's probably gonna fumble into it. Looking for others to light before it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's like I'm mind gaming again. Before I had managed to find any, I felt something under my feet and heard a loud crunch. I crouched to get a closer look at what I'd stepped in and noticed broken glass on the floor. So it was like glasses and stuff. Just wrong. It's a broken vase. Vase. When the lights went out, I heard the sound of shattering glass. But it's odd that Charlotta didn't clean up after herself. She's the maid here. Ah, it looks like it was knocked off that shelf by that window there. Oh, okay. I looked to where Violette was pointing and noticed for the first time that one of the windows was unlatched and rattled back and forth in the wind. Makes sense. Okay, I'm like on board. Quickly, Violette noticed it too and limped over to help me close it. The latch was loose and would hardly stay, so together Violette and I tried to secure it with a bit of string. I suppose that these old houses are always in need of small repairs like that. I nodded in agreement, but thought it was strange that the window latch was broken. Nothing else in the house seemed to be, but I shrugged it off and chalked it up to the violent storms outside. Soon, with the aid of my companion, we had managed to light a few more candles, and I looked around for something to bandage Violette's leg. Just then, Charlotta swept in. I wondered where she had been. She seemed surprised to find us there, almost a little flustered. I suppose that a maid is not used to finding anyone else in the kitchen but herself most days, least of all a stranger such as Violette, who it appeared she had never met before. I quickly explained to her the situation and introduced her to Violette. He limped over to her the best that he could and made a polite bow. My dear lady, I have injured my leg in a great fall and am in need of some assistance. I mean, is it a great fall? I guess it was great from the sense that, like, he made an impressive leap. I would not say it was great. Like, he wasn't climbing a tree or climbing the house and fell. He tripped in mud and then, on his own, jumped through a window. This seems very, like, self-inflicted. But Lord Violette, you said that you were injured when you slipped in the mud. Oh, wait a minute. We're getting into like Ace Attorney territory. Objection! You just said it was in the mud. Ah, yes, indeed I did, but that is a great fall of sorts, is it not? And you know the old saying, the bigger the man, the harder the fall. I mean, he's not a big dude, he's pretty thin. I'm not quite sure that expression was not... I was quite sure that was not an expression at all, but I held my tongue. Besides, Violette was not exactly a large man, only a little taller than myself and slight of frame. How hard could he fall? I brushed it off and let Charlotta bandage up the huntsman's leg. Chapter 2. Okay. We got through one chapter. I assume there's many. I am getting hoarse from all the lore. Nate doing his best Phoenix right. Objection! So we're gonna call it short stream, just giving a slight flavor. I think the game is not too long. If you take my time, it's probably you'll finish this in 35 hours. If you go at like a normal human pace on your own, I think estimate what Abigail, 4 hours, maybe 5 hours to get through the main story. Link is in the description on YouTube if you want to try it. With that, this has been Nate. We've been playing Murder at Chateau de Rouge, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.